Commission. We're going to let you start with an opening statement, and then we'll go through 2 rounds of questions from each of the members, and then we'll give you time for a closing statement.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, and thank you for entertaining my goal of being able to be a part of not only making Arizona a better pillar for conservation, but a future that fosters a better Arizona for my daughter. As a Northern Arizona native, my life has been spent in the woods, deserts, and waters of Arizona since before I can recall. Not just camping trips, hunting, and fishing, but learning the respect of the land and all who live there. That includes the spiders that still terrify me. My grandfather worked for Forest Service before I was born. He owned a logging company here as well. My family, who could not afford extravagant trips or vacations, found our solace in the outdoors of Arizona. We did all of our vacation trips, day trips, or let's just get away. My grandfather showed us parts of the northern Arizona woods that he learned from his lifetime spent in it. I have seen the quality and quantity of wildlife diminish from 17A, 17B, 18A, 18B, 6A, 5B North, and 5B South, among many other game management units. So I have read, researched, and studied the stories for volunteers and the need for aid to protect our habitat preservation for endangered species here in Arizona. The Mule Deer Foundation was one of the things I first learned about when we were contacted with my volunteer time there to help restore fencing for the Chiricahua leopard frog. I grew up and still volunteer with ranchers, understanding the struggles ranchers face as landowners with access being granted, or in some cases revoked due to the numerous reasons. With this, I also have a grasp on the unique sides of the effects cattle grazing have on our habitat and wildlife waters. Having done volunteer work with the Arizona Mule Deer Organization to raise funds for water hauling, habitat restoration, among other things, I have seen the landscape change and the drought that continues to plague Arizona reshape our lands. I have helped on veteran hunts for women who have learned about healing through the outdoors and hunting, the same place I do much of my own healing. While I have made lifelong friends, I have also been fortunate to share my knowledge and understanding as a mentor, aide, not just to veterans and other women, but also to the youth who want to learn about the outdoors. I helped bring volunteers into the folds, raise funds, gather donations, and been a spokesperson for the well-being and everything our nonprofits I've worked with have done, such as fundraising events, youth camps, and skills camps. I have also been an officer with the state of Arizona. I have worked in the legal field for attorneys, and prior to that, I was an office manager for a local business in Prescott. I understand the need for budget allocations to help people in the office and field effectively do their jobs. My past in creating budgets for office and field staff with Strong Winds LLC gives me perspectives on annual budgets. My past with Yavapai County Adult Probation has afforded me the insight into being a part of a committee that rewrote the state policy on sex offenders who are required to wear GPS units. I understand from this process what works for one part of the state may not work for others. I also understand the legalese from having worked with attorneys, both in firms and at the county, and having read various Arizona revised statutes and titles. My experiences with my employment, volunteer work, and time in our state's outdoors not only affords me qualifications for this position, but has shown me things need to change with the times. If we do not change with these times, there will be scraps of conservation and land left for my daughter when she is my age. Let me help Arizona show my daughter what passion for conservation can achieve, and show other hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen that it takes stepping up to impact our future heritage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Ms. Eade?
Yes,
Did I say that correctly?
you did. Not
Good.
many people get it.
All right, cool, thank you. In your resume, I see that you mentioned that you have communication and de-escalation skills. And I was wondering how you would utilize those skills to build consensus among Arizona's diverse citizenry in regards to wildlife conservation.
I've had many heated discussions over the years, not only in my places of work, but also out in the field. I understand how to come alongside people and see their perspectives for what points they're trying to make, their concerns. And my use of verbal de-escalation tactics and stuff when I worked for adult probation allowed me the ability to actively listen, understand the root of the problem, and try to find solutions that would work for, if not everybody, almost everybody.
Thank you.
Ms. Eade, as a commissioner, how would you weigh competing demands? So for example, recreational access versus habitat protection, endangered species recovery versus broader recreational hunting and fishing.
The top priority isn't always about making everyone happy. It's about what's best for our wildlife, our endangered species, the land, to help it heal, help it grow. We're in different times. We've seen drought that is unprecedented. And people may not like the outcome. However, we have a responsibility to the wildlife and the land to do what is best for them.
Tell us what you believe to be the two most important issues that a commission might face in the next 5 years.
The first one is the border with the fence, with the wall. That can impact migration patterns and habitat for our wildlife. And trying to find a solution that works not only for game and fish, but also for the various different departments and agencies who have to ensure secure borders is a huge problem that we are going to be facing if we are not already. The other is going to be the funding. People are stretched thin right now, they have been. And getting to a point where we can decide what is best for not only the wildlife, but to try to keep people engaged or re-engage other hunters who have stopped is a huge factor, because people are tired of forking out money and not getting tags or not being able to do the things that they did 15, 20, 30 years ago. So finding ways that help bring funds in and continue to bring funds in is going to be something that is vital, not only for game and fish, but also for the people that want to get outdoors.
Thank you.
Ms. Eade, thanks for coming in today, and thanks for your interest in the Arizona Game and Fish Commission. Would you please discuss the reintroduction of the Mexican gray wolf and its impact on Arizona wildlife and livestock? And what would you change about the wildlife, or excuse me, what would you change about the management of the Mexican gray wolf?
That's a tough one, because I also understand that as game and fish, we don't just have ourselves to answer to. We have the Federal Endangered Species Act that we have to look at when considering things such as wolf reintroduction. The problem is the public, the vast majority, is not educated on what is required. And getting people to understand that is vital. It has played a role and it made an impact on wildlife and the landscape, not for the good or the worse. I can't say I haven't seen studies. But the problem that people face is they see that the wolves are killing these wildlife animals, the livestock, the cattle, and they don't understand why. we need protection for these animals. So getting people to understand that is important. It's harsh. We have bears, we have mountain lions, we have all kinds of stuff that can hunt cattle and can eradicate certain species and other things. But part of the problem is managing everything as one. We cannot have one thing that supersedes all others. So it's important to take into consideration what other predators might live in an area when thinking about the populations with the Mexican gray wolves.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your application. Can you please share your view on federally designated national monuments, wildlife refuges, national conservation areas, that sort of thing, and how they interact with the Game and Fish Department?
So I understand part of the role for Game and Fish is potentially buying land every single year with a percentage of funds that are provided. It is imperative, as I said, from not only myself and future generations, but for my daughter. Because when things are dwindling, we are losing access to landowners that are struggling with problems. Part of the issue that we see is people don't care about somebody else's property. So, excuse me. So when it comes to the role and everything that Game and Fish can offer in these situations, part of that is not only management, but monuments, raising funds to buy that land to help preserve access for hunters for future generations.
Thank you.
You talked about your experience mentoring youth and women in outdoor activities. And I was wondering how you would use that experience to expand public engagement and education programs in Arizona.
One of the issues we have every year when it comes to youth camps is kids having access to field days and other requirements for hunters' education points to get out. One of the things I would recommend or suggest would be the nonprofits that we as a state already give money to in the form of grants to put on field days and things for the youth to get them re-engaged. Over the years, I've known a few kids who have not put in for youth hunts anymore because there's no access to field days anywhere near them. And as I said, families struggle, and being able to drive 2, 4, 6 hours away to get that for your kid is not always attainable. So to get them reintroduced and reactivated, if we could have these nonprofits that hold youth camps send some of their volunteers to get certified to be mentors and to run field days, we could potentially have more field days for these kids so they can not only put in for the drop, but have a field day before it becomes an issue and their hunt is here before they know it. So that is one way to get the youth re-engaged, is to get some of these volunteers we already have to step up and help in other ways. When it comes to women, I think a big part of the issue I've seen is them not having people in their family who have a willingness to teach them or have even hunted or fished in the past. And if we offered things such as the Wild Turkey Federation has an all-women's turkey camp up in 6A and 5B next year, if we had more opportunities such as that for the women to get out and learn, I think that would be beneficial for the future and the current hunting population as far as people who are interested and want to stay interested.
Ms. Eade, can you tell me what the North American model of wildlife conservation means to you and how it might guide you as a commissioner?
The North American model for wildlife is something that, for me, having grown up in the outdoors, is a huge part of Fair Chase. One of the first books that my grandpa ever gave me when I told him I wanted to get engaged in hunting for myself and not just go along was a book regarding Fair Chase. And I think that that would impact everything that we see. Is we have people on both sides who are complaining about these long distance shootings when it comes to hunting, people who are upset about size requirements and should we bring them back. And I think part of the model we look at should include not only public opinion, but the scientific data for future generations. We cannot do anything today that will be a detriment to the future. And using that model now should also include changing with the times. We need to include things that we are seeing change. Technology changes, the landscape is changing, water resources, everything. And I believe that in order to be effective, we have to look at what the future might hold when in regard to making decisions and everything that this job entails, not just on a meeting-to-meeting budget, or a meeting-to-meeting agenda, but long-term annually when doing the budget, when figuring out what is going to be required. I think that that would impact me more than anything is how is this going to change the future? What will this do to better the future for wildlife, for conservation, and for the land?
Arizona is a growing state, as you know. And polling shows that the ever-increasing percentage of Arizona residents are not familiar with the role the Arizona Game and Fish plays with wildlife in the state of Arizona. Why is it important to raise that awareness level for Arizona's citizens?
We see more and more average people going out in the woods with side-by-sides and with other equipment to spend their recreational time. We need to be educating all of Arizona on the effects that not only that has, but where they're dumping things, what they're dumping, how things are being handled, and how that might impact not only our land and our waters, but also what things will look like 10 years down the road. The future is important, and we can't just sit by idly. So it's important to get out to community events, put yourself out there to have conversations with people on both sides, no matter where you are in Arizona.
Thank you.
Ms. Eade, if you were to be appointed as a commissioner and you had very limited constraints, what would be one of the first things that you would do as a commissioner?
I'd go home and hug my daughter. One of the very first things I would love to see is communication about what we are doing to re-engage, reactivate, and gain new hunters. While you see on social media people complaining about not getting tags enough and where is this money going, I think it's important to re-engage these people or engage them if they have never been a part of it, because this is the future. We get money from things such as license fees, tag fees, and all of the money that conservation is given every year by the outdoorsmen and women. And I think that a big part of that needs to be focusing on where do we go.
So I'm sure you've noticed on the landscape that it's been much drier, monsoon has been erratic, snowpack has been lacking. So to adapt to this drier climate, what do you think the Game and Fish Department should be doing habitat-wise to help our species on the ground? And if you could give some examples beyond water hauling, which I think is a necessary and incredible program, but for maybe a long-term investment, what more do we need to be doing on the landscape as a department to help these species kind of with the adaptation of a drier climate?
So recently I saw a post on Facebook from one of my friends, Dan. He runs Arizona Wildlife Waterworks, where they were working with Arizona Game and Fish to not only fill water tanks, but to refinish the bottom for better water holding capabilities. The fact that we have so many trick tanks and other things that have been affected by wildfires and just age, weather, climate, I think a big part of it should be focusing on either repairing the damaged catchments or refinishing bottoms of existing dirt tanks and things along that nature so they can hold water better, so we don't have to worry about expending as much money when it comes to hauling water or hoping for good weather.
Thank you.
Do you have a closing statement for us?
I appreciate your time. This has always been a dream of mine, and just to be selected to interview today is a huge deal to me, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your consideration, your time, and as much as I hope you would choose me, I just hope that whoever is best for the job gets it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.